All right, here we are. Sports Bit. Betty and Insight today. Pauly and Teddy. We're back and better than ever. Monday, June 26th. Football right around the corner. Big game breakdown. Two good series. Cubs and the Nationals and the Battle of Los Angeles from Dodger Stadium. And we'll get to two best bets, play of the days. Before we get out of here, you can do that when you go 4-0 with your draft props. Deep dive. They don't screw around here in Vegas. Props already up on the NBA to make the playoffs, the Warriors, win total to win the title, all that coming up. Bad beats, bad bets, bad for the books. In a second, here he is, the kid's back vacation, Costa Rica, 2 weeks. How was it?
Oh, it was awesome, dude. It really was. No more mojitos. It's all coffee and tea from here on out. Jungle, beach, waterfalls, crocodiles, monkeys, volcanoes, you know, Pauly, the usual. A lot of fun in Costa Rica, and most importantly, the last couple of days, really, I finally was able to wind down and like watch a sunset with my wife and do that kind of stuff that, you know, you just never do in real life. So, but you know how it is. You get back. I mean, obviously, when you do what we do, you can't get away completely. I'm still looking at scores. I'm still looking at pictures, but that coming back. You know, when you come back and I suppose it's like a 12-hour, you know, journey back to Vegas, and it's 102 when I get off the plane at midnight and all of that. And then you just sit down, and it's just hours cramming, and all right, what happened here and what happened there. A ton of work to do when you get back off the plane, but it really was a vacation of a lifetime, Pauly. I recommend it to anybody out there. Costa Rica worked out for my family and myself for a vacation that I never take. So glad I could do it.
Yep, Costa Rica sounds a lot like Minnesota. How about that? Who knew? All right, here's what you missed. The Dodgers have been on a roll, and we'll get to bad beats. But this has been bad for the books for the last 2 weeks. The Dodgers have won 10 in a row, 16-17. They've hit a home run in 17 games in a row. They're covering the run line and going over in almost every game, but they keep covering the run line in most of these. The homestand's been incredible. More on that coming up as they still are at home against the Angels. Bellinger has 24 home runs since being called up on April 25th. And then yesterday, they become the first team in the live ball era to score 5 runs on wild pitches.
That's just insane. And, of course, you talk about Bellinger. Another big game on Sunday. 2 home runs, 4 ribbies. That's his 6th multi-home run game of the season. The rookie record is 7 by a guy named Mark McGuire. And you look at this tweet from Ryan Spader. Fewest career games to 6 multi-homer games. Yeah, Bellinger at the top of that list. Of course, Dodgers, what do they have? A plus 138 run differential. That's the best in baseball. 32-10 record at home. That's the best in baseball. And as you mentioned, when it comes to the run line, the Dodgers are giving bookmakers a whole lot of headaches. We'll talk about them a little bit more when it comes to play of the day time.
So big line moves all across the Sunday MLB card, but if you saw the board jumping and thought the bettors had an edge on the books, that wasn't the case. One bad bet, ton of bad bets, excuse me. Mariners, 30-cent move. They went off the favorite against the Astros. They lost 8-2. They were playing good ball, but the last 2 days they were betting last 3 days they were betting the Mariners, and they lost 2 of them.
Well, yeah, you had a bad beat and a bad bet in the same game. The bad beat coming with the under in that contest. Of course, the under was 9.5, and it fell 10 in a game that was 4-2 in the ninth. And then James Pazos comes in. He faces 8 batters. 4 of them score. 3 hits, 3 walks. Brutal beat for underbettors in that one. And of course, the bad bet as well. I think that the guys were looking to back Ariel Miranda. He had a strong showing at Safeco, but no good. You know, the Mariners gave him a 2-0 lead, and it was all Houston the rest of the way. Seattle money, that was a bad bet, but certainly not the only one from Sunday, Pauly.
25-cent move on the Cubs. When he went on vacation, they were a 500 team. Nothing's changed. You're throwing Butler and Montgomery out there in your starting 5. Doesn't give you much of a chance. And the Marlins beat the Cubs 4-2.
Yeah, Edison Volquez, 4th win in his last 6 starts. A guy who has been effectively wild. And, of course, he might be on his way to getting traded to a legitimate contender, though Miami's played okay baseball. The Cubs' 15 base runners couldn't get them around to score. Same story, Pauly. Same story as when I left. We're talking about a team that was playing 500 baseball then. They're playing 500 baseball now.
Explain this. 20-cent move on the Giants. Blown out again. They've lost 10 of 11. They continue to take money.
I can't explain it. I mean, they got pounded all series. It was 24-8 getting swept by the Mets. They didn't have the lead for a single pitch in the series. And Matt Moore, now 3-8 with a 6.04 ERA. Unlike Edison Volquez, he's not going to get a whole lot of interest from the contenders.
A 45-cent move on the Indians. The Twins shut them out with Santana. They sweep the series. The Twins are 23-9 on the road in 9 games under 500 at home. You figure it out.
Yeah, and again, just like the Cubs, big money burners when I left, still money burners when I get back. Same thing with Cleveland after the huge line move. And, of course, the bettors have been trying to fade Irvin Santana in recent starts. They keep on saying he's going to come back to earth. The advanced metrics numbers aren't there. But you know what? He's owned the Indians this season. That's his third start against them. 1 run over 19 innings. Meanwhile, Josh Tomlin, 4-9 with a 6.09 ERA. He had more walks in 5.2 innings on Sunday than he had in his previous 9 starts combined.
40-cent move on the Yankees. Again, went off minus 240 at home. They're 2-10 in their last 12. They're taking money in all those games. They've lost as a 240, 250, and 280 favorites during that horrific stretch. Starting pitching's been terrible.
Yeah, and again, when you're losing at minus 240, minus 250, and minus 280 on the same homestand, and then you're taking money again, it's baffling to me. And this is something we've talked about on Sportsbit all season long. Michael Pineda, what's the problem he's had? Home runs. He can't keep the ball in the park. All the other stats are fine, but the gopher balls are problematic. Has been problematic, and it certainly was on Sunday. Gave up 3 more dingers. Yankees made a comeback, but it wasn't enough as Texas gets the win, and the books get to keep all that Yankee money.
You think there's an East Coast bias? I mean, every time you put on ESPN and SportsCenter, it's Aaron Judge. No talk of Bellinger, who's got 24 home runs, and he wasn't called up till late April. Give me a break, guys. Too bad for the books. 25-cent move on the Blue Jays. They get their 8-2. Liriano pitched well. And a big move on the Brewers. They shut out the Braves.
Yeah, I mean, look, let's talk about Toronto for a minute, because Joey Bats, moving him to leadoff, kind of gave him a spark. He's hitting .381 and drawing 4 walks since moving to leadoff. Had a home run and 4 RBIs on Sunday. And from Milwaukee, Zach Davies, a guy who the markets hate. And you understand why. He didn't have a strikeout. He faced 25 batters on Sunday. But you know what? He threw 7 shutout innings while facing those 25 batters. And Milwaukee, in a pick-em price range, they took a little bit of money, and they got the money in shutting out Atlanta.
Up next, big game breakdown. 2 good series. Cubs and the Nationals, and the Angels still fighting without Trout, around 500 against the red-hot Dodgers. Coming up on Sportsbit. Betting Insight today on SBRPicks.com.
Go to SBROdds.com. Browse, compare, and shop live odds available at top online sportsbooks.
Back on Sportsbit, Betting Insight today, Pauly and Teddy. Time for big game breakdown. As always, SBR Odds and Sportsbook Review. Check out the rating guide and make sure you're betting with a trustworthy shop out there. Cubs and Nationals. Nationals $1.59.5 the total. It's Butler against Gonzalez. Cubs, first 75 games of 2016, they were 49-26. The books were getting destroyed. They're a game over 500 this year. Maybe this is who they are. I mean, they're throwing, like we talked about at the top, Teddy, when you're throwing Butler and Montgomery out there, doesn't give you much of a chance, and the offense isn't doing anything.
Sure, and especially because the aces haven't been quite as ace-like this season. But Butler's a guy that doesn't have a whole lot of upside, in my opinion. You know, first-round pick in 2012. And the bottom line right now, he's 3-2 with a 4.19 ERA. You say, all right, he's average. But he feels like a ticking time bomb. Look, the basic story, a pitcher needs one of 3 things, minimum, to succeed at the major league level. You need to be able to get strikeouts, you need to be able to get ground balls, or you need to have great control. All right, at least one of those 3 to have any chance of success. And Butler doesn't really do any of those things. The strikeout rate isn't there. 161 pitches of 40 innings or more. Let's see, he ranks 143rd in strikeout rate. He ranks 152nd in walk rate and 99th in ground ball rate. So the control isn't there, the strikeouts aren't there, and the ground balls aren't there. And we're in that bottom quadrant. You know, you got to say the ERA respectable so far. Well, look at the advanced metric stats right here. You know, the fielding and independent pitching is bad. The adjusted fielding and pitching is worse. And the Sierra, another advanced metric we don't talk about as much, but one that is worthy of looking at in this context, well, he ranks number 160 out of 161 pitchers. Not a guy he would expect to be in the rotation of a World Series contender.
That's skill interactive ERA. that tries to explain the how and the why and how a guy's pitching. Look at that. He's 160 out of 161. Now, huge test. You're going up against the Nationals offense. Look at this graphic. Number 1 in average, number 2 in on-base percentage, slugging, and OPS. How good are you when Harper's not even your best hitter? Murphy, the last 2 seasons, of 154 players with 700 plate appearances or more, number 1 in average, 8 in on-base percentage, 3rd in slugging, 4th in OPS as well. And how about Zimmerman? Look at this. Number 1 in average, 14 in on-base percentage, 2nd in slugging, 3rd in OPS. So many guys that can hurt you. A great offense. And I know the advanced metrics community doesn't like them, but look at Gonzalez now. 7-1 with a 2.96. Continues to get it done, Teddy.
Yeah, I mean, when you talk about the fact that neither Bryce Harper nor Daniel Murphy are the best hitter for this team this season, that certainly stands out because 2 guys who have been absolutely elite offensively. But Gonzalez, we talked about a little bit before. You know, the advanced metrics are not good on Gio Gonzalez. You know, the xFIP 4.38, the FIP 4.28, the Sierra 4.56, all significantly worse than his 2.96 ERA. And anything you talk about with the Nats, really, you have to bring the bullpen into the equation because the ERA, again, 27th in baseball, the FIP at 26. And look at this. This is a great one. From the obituary, an obituary in the Richmond Times Dispatch last week. Patrick Killebrew, age 86, passed away peacefully at home June 20th, 2007, after watching the Washington Nationals relief pitchers blow yet another lead. Beloved father and husband, longtime attorney, former U.S. Navy navigator, and avid baseball fan and player, in lieu of flowers, send donations to the Nationals Bullpen Fund. That's in the obituaries right now. Washington's problem is significant in that regard.
Oh, very good there. We'll get back to this game with play of the day. Up next, we continue. Angels-Dodgers. Live odds, SBR odds and Sportsbook review. Nolasco against Hill. Dodgers 210, 9 the total. What a monster homestand for the Dodgers. 7-0 so far. Outscored their opponents 66-18 and never batting in the 9th inning. Overall, it's 10 in a row. Outscored their opponents 87-28. 16-1 in their last 17. 13-4 on the run line.
Yeah. Look at the SBR tweet about what happens when you keep betting that Dodgers run line. And of course, you know, at the SBR offices last week before I went on vacation, man, a lot of avid sports bettors working for SBR. Really, first-class organization. I was impressed with my time there, which has nothing to do, of course, with the Dodgers here, because you talked about all the hype for the New York guys. Justin Turner, why isn't this guy getting a ridiculous hype? He reached base 4 times in 5 plate appearances yesterday. He's now up to 393 in that regard. And, you know, you got Kenley Jansen, who hasn't even been needed for a whole lot of clutch outs. He's going to be fresh, though he did give up his first walk on Sunday after filing up 51 strikeouts. But for all the love for the Dodgers, Rich Hill, there are issues with him right now. He's 4-3 with a 4.72. It's not a disaster, but he just became the first pitcher in MLB history to open a season with 9 straight starts of 5 innings or less. Only 40 total innings across the 9 games. Now, he did have blister problems that forced him out a couple of times, but, you know, we're talking about an issue for real with the pitches per inning. He has not been able to get out of innings quickly. Look at the numbers for his 7 starts since coming off the DL. Significant problems. And, of course, the issue with the pitches per inning has everything to do with the fact that he's dancing around the strike zone. His 5.9 walks per 9 innings isn't just the highest in baseball in 2017, but it's actually a historic rate. Look at the numbers over the last 5 years, and you see where Rich Hill is at. So more than a full walk per 9 above the rest. Now, the Dodgers are deep in lefty starters, so you wonder, maybe they try to make a move and get Hill out of the picture, but they can't. They gave him 3 years for $48 million. The Rich Hill is not going anywhere. He's going to continue to get opportunities for the Dodgers, even if he's not getting batters out the way that LA might like.
Let's not panic. It's early. But also, there's not an easy out. The easy out was Jock Peterson, who was hitting 210. Now he's hitting home runs. You got Grandal and Seager and Bellinger and Turner and Puig's hitting the ball. Oh, what a lineup. Remember the days when the Dodgers used to struggle to score 3 runs. Not anymore. Pleasantly surprised by the Angels. They lost Trout. Could have been the beginning of the end, but a hell of a job by Socha here. They're 14-13 since he went on the DL, and the schedule's been tough. The last 16 games against all teams that are 500 or better. But oh no, it's Nolasco. He's putting, this is his 16th start. He's 2-9 with an ERA of 5.23. They've lost 10 straight Nolasco starts, 3-12 across all 15. Can't keep the ball down anymore, Teddy. Look at the home runs and the ground ball percentage.
Yeah, exactly. Look at this graphic with the home runs allowed here in 2017. You don't want to be at the top of this graphic. And, of course, the 21.5% home run to fly ball ratio, that's a career high. He's given up at least 2 home runs in, 10 out of 15 starts this season. And as you mentioned, they've lost each of his last 10 starts, 3-12 in his 15 starts. So it was hard to make a case for betting L.A. with Nolasco on the hill, despite the fact that, as you mentioned, they're playing good ball. They went 4-2 against the Yankees and the Red Sox on their road trip. And, Mike Scioscia, a guy who's, nearing 2,800 games at the Angels manager, he continues to do things the right way and pull strings for a team that could have fallen apart, but has managed to play good baseball despite the loss of their best superstar.
We'll get back to this one coming up. Up next, props. And 2 play of the days coming up on Sportsbit. Betting Insight, NBA props, let me be clear on that. NBA props coming up next on Sportsbit. Betting Insight today on SBRpicks.com.
Do your research before you bet. Check out our ratings guide to see which books have the best ratings and sign-up bonuses. Open up several accounts. Shop for lines at SBRodds.com. Always be ahead of the game.
Back on Sportsbit, wrapping up with the deep dive. Pauly and Teddy, Betting Insight today. We'll get to the props in the NBA in a second. But first, Teddy, football right around the corner. Hall of Fame game August 3rd. Take advantage of those bonuses up at SBR.
Yeah, that's the truth of it. I mean, if you visit sportsbookreview.com and click on the bonus page, you can get up to $2,500 in free money. That's strong advantage play stuff. The pros do it in Vegas. And you better damn well have at least 3 different sportsbooks funded to take advantage of the best lines. Don't be stupid. Do it today. Get loaded up for football season. Take advantage of the free money you can get from clicking on sportsbookreview.com.
Here we go. NBA props already here in Las Vegas at the Westgate and the Golden Nugget. The Warriors win total is up at 66.5. And at the Golden Nugget, Teddy, the Warriors are minus 240 to win the title. The field is plus $2.
And you know what? I don't want the field. That being said, I also don't want the over 66.5. This is not a team with anything to prove in the regular season. But when it comes to the postseason, I mean, you're looking at the rosters right now, and even the potential moves teams could make. The only way Golden State doesn't win it next year is if somebody big gets hurt in the postseason, and maybe a couple of big guys get hurt. They deserve to be that level of chalk. But, of course, no urgency to make that bet now either.
LeVar Ball shot his mouth off at the draft, guaranteed the Lakers would make the playoffs. Jimmy Vaccaro at the South Point said, come on down, I'll bet you $500,000. And then Vegas said, let's put a price up on this. At the Westgate, the Lakers minus $7 not to make the playoffs. Yes, plus $5.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that number's high. The West, for as loaded as the West is, and for as bad as the Lakers have been, plus 500, I know they're going to take money at that number. I would expect this number to go down, and it's not going to go any higher.
All right, how about the T-Wolves? Great trade. They fleeced the T-Wolves, or fleeced the Bulls and get Butler. The T-Wolves to make the playoffs, yes, minus 260. They won 31 games last year. I know they couldn't close, but yes, a nice favorite in that one.
Sure, and of course they got Coach Tibbs and Jimmy Butler reunited again. Of course, they also have the NBA's longest playoff drought. They haven't made the postseason since 2003/2004. But, I mean, what do you think? They got Chris Dunn, Zach LaVine, and, of course, the number 7 pick, Markkanen out of Arizona. Markkanen, I'm sorry, who has, I think, a guy who has a ton of upside. But, man, when you see the quotes coming out of Chicago, it's not pretty for, the GM Foreman. How about the agent? Travell Gaines posted on his own Twitter account. He's Butler's agent. He says, 0-82, worst culture in the league. Yeah. I met drug dealers with better morals than their GM. He's a liar, and everyone knows. So Jimmy Butler disappointed at what happened, but he certainly makes the T-Wolves a better team than they were, a heck of a lot better, considering they didn't have to give up any of their key pieces. And Minnesota's a scary-looking team moving forward.
Guy's 25-6-5 last year. Give me a break. I think he hit 40% of his threes, too, with some difficult shots he was taking on a lousy Chicago team. And the 76ers, trust the process, baby, minus 125 to make the playoffs.
Yeah, and I mean, look, Washington went 9-22 with Markelle Fultz. That's the worst record for any overall number one pick since the common era of the draft began in 1966. So now the Sixers have Fultz, they have Ben Simmons, and they have Joel Embiid. That's 3 number one overall picks in the last 4 drafts. And of those 3 guys, they have combined to play a grand total of 0 NCAA tournament games. So here's my question to you, Pauly. Can you build a winning team with players that don't really have a winning legacy, that haven't won anything at any level since high school?
Absolutely. That's bullshit what you just said there. The coach, Romar, sucked as a coach. The coach at LSU was terrible, and there weren't good players around those 2 guys. And Embiid didn't play in the tournament because he was hurt. So that's not his fault either. They are set up beautifully in Philadelphia.
I'm just asking the question. You know, I mean, in the picture, Fultz is holding up 3 fingers because now he's like, wow, the 76ers have 3 prime starters that don't know what it's like to win. And, of course, on the other end of that trade for Boston, for Philly getting the number 1 pick, Duke's Jason Tatum goes to the Celtics at number 3. That doesn't make me more scared of the Celtics as the number 2 team in the East behind Cleveland.
It's going to be a lot of fun with free agency that starts next week, too. We'll see what happens in L.A. with the Clippers. Where does Paul George go? See if Love leaves Cleveland. We see some big moves as well. I want to see where Millsap goes as well. And the West just gets stronger. And it's the East seems to lose a lot of quality players over the last few years. When's the East going to be good? Been asking that question for 10 years.
Philadelphia, man. And I'm with you on being bullish on the Sixers. You know, I was just making the point that none of these guys have really done anything in terms of proving it at the college level. But, of course, I got to throw up this one last graphic. Okay, the most points per game by major conference freshmen over the last 25 seasons. You look at the guys at the top of this list. Let's see. Beasley, pretty much a bust at the NBA level. Carmelo wasn't a bust at the NBA level, but he's never won. And then, of course, Kevin Durant, who was unable to win at the biggest stage until he went to Golden State. So Fultz in the midst of that trio. Not a bad trio to be with when it comes to success at the collegiate level. We'll see what he does in the NBA.
No, maybe they're cursed, and these guys won't be able to stay healthy. That could be something, too. All right. When you go 4-0 with your draft props,
well done.
You can give out 2 plays. So let's keep it going because we like both of these. Let's go betting number 963, 964 over 9 in the Angel-Dodger game. Now, they brought Jansen in the 9th. He actually walked somebody. Also, Stripling threw 45 pitches. So Hill, remember, Hill is yet to go into the 6th inning the entire year. So who's left with that Dodger bullpen? Plus, we ran down all these numbers with Nolasco, and the Dodgers are crushing it every game. So we'll go over in that one, and we'll take the Nationals betting number 954 as well. We'll take Gonzalez minus 150. That's cheap against Butler and the struggling Cubbies. Take the Nationals at home. So 2 best bets on this show coming up. Tomorrow we'll get back to the NFL. We're right in the middle of the NFC South. We'll continue our division previews, and we'll get a big show coming up as we hit All-Star break in 2 weeks as well on Sportsbit. Good to be back. Betting Insight today on SBRPicks.com. Thanks for watching.